this is Amy Magyar from Within Coaching. Today on CliftonStrengths Unpacked, we will be unpacking focus. We actually took a little bit of a hiatus. And so as always, I have my co-pilot is Coach Augusta Krahl, but I'm feeling a little unfocused because we did take a little bit of a break between, this is like our longest stretch, 3 weeks of not doing these. I miss these.
Me too.
But it's an interesting one that we're doing focus because we've got to stay. I'm like, oh, do I remember what I'm supposed to say for the beginning? Anyway, nice to have you on board as we tackle focus.
Yeah.
For those of the folks that have focus, we've already lost them because we've already sort of, gone off topic a little bit about the fact that we took a 3-week hiatus. They don't care. And we'll explain lovingly why that is. So let me first do this. I'm going to read off the CliftonStrengths description. People strong in the focus theme can take a direction, follow through, and make the corrections necessary to stay on track. They prioritize, then act. So when asked, how the heck would I describe this? Using the words laser lock in is what came to mind for me. They are laser focused. What's interesting is that if you've ever seen a laser, and most people have seen something like this on a TV show where it's a laser from a gun or something, it's a point, is that it's a very small, it's not a broad view. And there's a beauty in that. We're going to talk today about what that is, but that for me was very much, it's not just focused, it is so beautifully clear on what is the most important to lock into and to move forward with. So that's how I would describe it. How about you, Coach?
Yeah, I like that. I had actually written locked on target because it's that ability to set and look at an outcome and then stay locked on it, but also filter. You said prioritize actions. I see it as prioritizing and filtering actions specifically toward that outcome.
Yeah.
And it's that ability too. It's not just moving towards that target, it's what they're doing to move toward that target. And so this is a strength that is I'm highly envious of. I think I was saying that earlier because I'm a bit ADD. And so for me, focus, they're just not distractible.
Right.
And it's just this incredible clear path.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it is, and often it's the clear path. This is a great example of how with someone who may have focus, how if they have other strengths and how they kind of play in, but with focus, it's very much, they focus on sort of the end game.
Yeah.
And in its raw form, right, and sort of its less mature form, it may be that they don't focus on the steps to get there. And so it may appear like almost they don't care. They're so focused on the end that they may not see others. But that's, again, the beauty of our strengths is, what are some of the other strengths that you have? Strategic is amazing because it can help you sort of see what's missing to get to the end, right? So what's there, what's not there.
Yeah.
But even just helping people, let's say empathy, working with somebody who has empathy and focus, so you have focus, somebody else has empathy, is remember, not everybody sees the end result as the most important thing. Some people enjoy the journey, right? There's that whole sort of metaphor of
enjoying the journey.
It's about the journey, not the end. With focus, it's very much about almost like achiever of getting to the end, but they're able to focus so beautifully on that task to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And achiever, it's often found with achiever. And what's, when you said enjoying the journey, it's so interesting because we talk about, what could be the basement of this strength, and it could be perceived as someone who just they don't pick their head up, and they're just so focused. And so where, we'll talk later, but where can you, lift your head up a little bit and work on seeing what's around as you move toward that goal?
Yeah, it is, in its mature form, folks with focus can not only put their head down,
Mhm.
but they're able to turn the noise off
Yeah.
of distraction. And that's not a bad thing because it allows them to truly be present in what is. So that's the maturity side, is that,
Yeah.
that even though they're very future oriented, they have to be present to get to the future.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think for
really true.
some,
That's a
I
very
think
good
for
point.
some people, they may not see that because it is an executing theme. So it's about getting things done. But I don't know. Have you had many folks in your client base with focus?
I actually have not. And that's really interesting because it's, I think, what did we say, 29th, or, it's not, yeah, I just haven't seen a
Yeah,
lot of it. Have you?
yeah.
What about you?
I've had a few, and occasionally it shows up, like you said, with achievers. Sometimes
Yeah.
I noticed it. I have it, a client who has command and also
Yeah.
has focus as well. And so what I notice is for them, it's been commented to them on that times it shows up a little rigid,
Yeah.
and it shows up a little, it's almost like you can't sway this person. And what I will say is, as a leader, it is important for you to know, again, like all of our strengths, your strength is not everybody else's strength. So they
Yeah.
may not see that your focus is so, that they may not think that you're open. And that's something to be aware of. Is, remember, even though you can be really super focused on the end result, is not being afraid to be open
Hmm.
to other people and how they focus, because they may be focusing on other things that you don't think are important, but to them, they
Yeah.
see it as an opportunity. With that being said, though, I think what's so cool is, I was actually shocked when I worked with this client. I've never had a client listen to me better.
Mm.
I mean, they heard every word I said and could come back and say, when you said,
Yeah.
I
The
just want to get
recall.
clarity on this. So, they were seeking clarity too.
Yeah.
But I was almost like, I mean, they said it word for word. And
Yeah.
and again, everybody is an individual. Can be a little bit different. But what I noticed was how incredible, in order to do that kind of listening, you have to be present.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I like having people with focus. Not only are they more apt to get things done than I am, because I also don't have focus in even close to a top 10, but their ability to make me feel heard
Mm.
can be really powerful. So as a leader, it can be
Yeah.
really important. Again, remembering, part of focusing isn't just focusing on the task, but it's remembering to lift your head up a little bit and focus on the people involved in the task,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Because it's, yeah, as a leader, it just, even, opening your door, keeping your door open, and remembering to lift up and engage, because those are those people. How do we help them, if you have focus, set their own goals and keep their, build their own ability to move toward goals? And it's a, the generative side of all of the strengths, for sure. So
Yeah, it is an interesting thing where you'll know if you're working with somebody with focus if they sort of twitch as you start offering up new
mhm.
ideas that are maybe a little too late in the game to be bringing them up. And it's not that those aren't important, but the person is looking for the most efficient and effective way to do something,
Yeah.
focusing on that and moving forward with it. So for them, the ability to cancel out, right? They're the Bose
Yeah.
headphones
Yeah.
of, I
That
just realized
filtering.
that. That's so great. They're sort of the Bose headphones of getting things done. They can shut things out,
Yeah.
but
Great analogy.
they're also looking for the most efficient and effective way of doing it. And so when bringing something to them, it could be an opportunity to sort of say, I know that this may feel like we're taking a couple steps back when really momentum is important to do. I think this will allow us to focus on doing a quick check-in on where we're at. So
Mm.
even using focus in the language to help somebody pause, let's focus for a second and just look at where we're at.
Yeah.
you have somebody with focus who's so about driving forward, you're going to catch their attention even by using the word focus.
Yes, absolutely.
And that gives them a chance to say, okay, this is an intentional look versus this is just a distraction or this is just a
Right.
waste of time.
Well, it's that value, and that I think it's that,
Yeah.
again, I get fascinated by that filtering ability and that rapid fire ability to be able to assess the value that it brings, whatever the action or the suggestion might be. And so again, when you're speaking with someone who could be high in focus and is laser focused like that, we're showing them where the value of maybe your idea or suggestion is. Like, how could it bring value to getting toward that goal? I think would
Yeah.
be really important.
Yeah. We talked, as we were both prepping for this, we talked a little bit about, sort of that we were envious of this. And one of the things I just want to throw out is focus is sort of the opposite of multitasking.
Oh my
And one
gosh.
of the reasons why I am envious of focus is what's interesting is there's some research that says probably 5% of all human beings are actually good multitaskers.
Hmm. We're all so
Only
busy.
5%, right? Is that you're never really able to truly do these short spurts of focus on things. And
Yeah.
so, and really actually really give an intention. You're just skimming.
Yeah.
And I think the funniest part of that research about that only about 5% of the world can actually multitask efficiently and effectively is that you actually we live in Vermont, and so we know that there are some people that sometimes smoke marijuana to
Mhm.
relax. And what's funny is the research says that people who attempt multitasking lose more IQ points than people who smoke weed.
Oh my goodness.
If you go to
That's
try to do a
interesting.
task and multitask it versus
Yeah.
smoke a joint and then try to do it, you actually have a better chance of doing it when you're smoking weed than you are if you're trying to multitask doing
Yeah.
that and six other things. Because our brains are not designed to do that as well as we think.
Yeah.
So to those overfunctioners in the world, let's take a look at focus and say, what would it be like if we actually, for a second, let the other stuff go away? Right? This focus may not ever become a strength of yours where it fuels you, but
Yeah.
we can learn a lot from this of sort of really creating intention. Because if we are doing something and we're doing it with intention, it's a pretty good chance we may see something a little differently or more clearly than we were if we were just kind of hop, skipping, and jumping.
Well, yeah, and like you're saying, I mean, I truly think that, and especially, I mean, I'm raising teenagers in this day and age where we're so inundated all the time. I mean, between the computers and the phones, I mean, it is learning to create and
Yeah.
build a capacity for focus within ourselves, whether or not it's in your top 5 or top 10, is really critical in this day and age because there's just too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very difficult, and we're all so scattered and busy, which looks good, I guess. We're all like, I'm so busy, but are we really bringing value and reaching our goals? So it's focus. That's actually interesting. It could be a good word for me for 2021.
And to again to that part of you may not your top
Right.
five may not shift to be number one focus.
Right.
However, what we can learn is we probably could, by intentionally setting some focus sprints,
Hmm. Yeah.
it may be enough for us to just focus for 20 minutes. With somebody with focus where they're really getting fueled is probably diving in for 5 hours. But you and I
Yeah.
don't have that strength
Yeah.
in terms of having that be our fuel, but we can learn something from it. So
Absolutely. And so I think that just brought up a question for me, Amy.
yeah.
So, if you're working with someone who's got focus, maybe their top 5 or 6, and they're not utilizing it,
Oh,
and because as we know, that's how we work with strengths, is bringing awareness and seeing where something might be out of balance. How would you recommend that somebody helps themselves lean more into their natural ability?
it
And
what a great freaking question, because what we know is when people feel stuck or out of sorts, it's
mm,
usually either one of their strengths is not being utilized and it is getting anemic, or that strength is actually dialed up too high. And so in
Yes.
this case, what happens when somebody isn't able to, because of the environment, because of a situation, because of whatever the reason is, one of the things, if you are even looking to mature your focus strength, or you realize that you haven't been able to use it, is one of the easiest things to focus on to help yourself is to ask yourself the question, what is the most important thing to focus on?
Mm.
Grant Cardone wrote a book called The One Big Thing. And what I
Yes.
love about that book is he basically says every day, pick one thing to focus on. And let the other things be bonuses, and they happen, but know that this is the thing. And I think the best part about the book is when they ask him, what if you don't know what you're supposed to focus on? He goes, well, that's what you're supposed to focus on then, is what is the thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Meaning sometimes it's about focusing on what to focus on.
Yeah.
So you may not be able to spend the time focusing on a project if the project has been taken away from you, or there's been a stall or whatever it is. But one thing that you can do is focus on next steps,
Yeah.
focus on what can you control right now, so sort of pulling yourself up a little bit to look at what you can spend the time thinking about, because this is not only an executing theme, it's a thinking theme, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is absolutely using that brain to say, what is most important?
Yeah.
I will say, if you have somebody on your team that has focus and maybe isn't getting the necessary diet of focus enough, bring your not focus to them. Apologize that what they're about to see may feel a little scattered, but ask them to help you focus.
Yeah.
Ask them to look at what is most important here. How can I start to be thinking about this? And what are some tips? And so using them, even getting them talking about how they do it, will bring them their strengths, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And absolutely. And I think putting into place too, even metrics as far as, moving forward, and so that they can learn if somebody is, it is anemic with somebody, so they can learn how to measure progress, how to see where they've gone. And then that just builds again that capacity to be able to filter at more rapid speed the things that bring value. But it's really kind of setting and creating metrics so they can see the progress toward the goal, measure it.
Now, what I will say is this, is that I've often heard in relationships the term selective listening or hearing, where a husband or wife with focus could be extremely unable to hear what else is happening in the house.
Mm.
And it becomes an issue because they're not able to hear a request. And it almost looks like they're being, and I'm going to use the term selfish, because they are so focused in on whatever is right in front of them. And again, I'm going to use the term intentional, not selfish. So for those people that are in partnerships with people with focus, is understanding it feels good to focus. And yet, not everybody, focus doesn't mean that you love doing everything you're doing.
Mm.
So there may be some things where when they're really focused on things that they really want to do, you may not be able to get their attention, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it's about setting an alarm on your phone for them,
Yeah.
or, sort of whatever it is. But also know that that doesn't mean that everything gets done the same way, because we're human beings. We only do things that we enjoy and benefit us in some way.
Yeah.
So, if somebody's saying, yeah, I just don't understand why you can't focus on this particular thing, but you can that's being a human being, is what it is that we don't tend to spend a lot of time on things we don't enjoy doing, or doesn't benefit us, again. So I
Absolutely.
can see people that coming an issue in the relationship, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, if you have focus, why can't you just focus on everything?
Yeah.
Like, and do, they probably can better than most people, but that doesn't mean that what they're focusing on itself brings them joy. So that's asking a lot to sort of assume that they focus on everything, even the stuff
Yeah.
they don't enjoy.
Yeah. No, that's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, and also, you know, in a relationship, you know, talking about our strengths in relationship, it's, you know, that ability to help someone maybe schedule time in their day to move away from the focus of whatever that might be. And that's, you know, that's the human interplay that we do with each other, having that compassion and that understanding around our strengths and what we might see as an issue or a fault almost. How can we, you know, be grateful for it, but also help them, you know, lift their heads up a little bit and schedule that time in their day. So,
and let's remember this, your strength doesn't mean everybody else has the same strength. So
absolutely.
it is understanding that when somebody comes to you and says, I'm not sure how to focus on this, it's actually a gift for somebody with focus, because you can help them, you can break down a little bit and help them get a little bit of miniature focus or micro focus or sprint focus.
Yeah.
They may never become the focused person that you are, but that's okay, because what they bring to the table are 5 other incredible themes and strengths that may help you who focuses on focus. So
absolutely.
remember that. So this chance to sort of talk about focus, as we know, Augusta, it's just the tip of the iceberg, right? We're touching it with a feather. There's so much more to understand about focus, especially for me. I have individualization. So I always say that just because you meet somebody with focus doesn't mean it shows up exactly the same way with every human being.
Of course.
So we highly recommend sitting and working with a coach on your strengths to also understand how your one focus works with the other 4. And so this is not meant to be in lieu of a coaching session, but more to help get you excited about, wait for it, what you're going to focus on. I've been away too long from this thing. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Augusta, as always, thank you. Thank you for the insight.
You.
Thank you for the questions and staying curious with me. And I hope you do have a chance to have someone with focus come into your client list soon enough, because you
I do
have
too.
a better, you know, sort of understanding of maybe their drivers. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Amy. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. Great way to start off the year.
We will see you next
Some
time.
focus.